Hey there, this is Mr. Icarus, and welcome to yet another edition of Doom Mod Madness. This time round, we're checking out Brutal Doom Hell on Earth Starter Pack, and I have been a little bit apprehensive to cover Brutal Doom on Doom Mod Madness in the past, and that's largely because everyone and their dog already knows about Brutal Doom. They've already had a chance to give it a whirl themselves by this point. And I have covered other stuff like Project Brutality, which is essentially an add-on for Brutal Doom in the past here. But let me tell you, once I was done with the Hell on Earth Starter Pack, I felt compelled to tell you guys how I felt about it. So first of all, what exactly is the Hell on Earth Starter Pack? Well, it's essentially a fully fledged standalone campaign designed for Brutal Doom that takes levels from Doom 1 and Doom 2, upgrades them, updates them, remakes them, and brings them together in one single overarching campaign that's divided into 3 episodes, much like in the original Doom itself. And good grief, is this some high quality work right here, folks. And when I say quality, I'm talking about lighting effects, I'm talking about texture usage, I'm talking about level layout, and everything here just feels really, really fine-tuned. I mean, with regards to lighting, you just have to take one look at those overheads and the light shafts coming down to know exactly what I'm talking about. I wouldn't be surprised at all to discover that this map pack was developed in parallel with the gameplay mod itself, because this is something that clearly requires a hell of a lot of time and effort, and there are 32 levels available to play in this map pack. It pretty much counts as its own standalone game at this point. There is a very particular joy that I experience though from playing a map pack that perfectly complements a gameplay mod, and this clearly benefits. I mean, the entire package here clearly benefits from having the same guy behind both. Say what you want about Sergeant Mark IV, but this is a guy that clearly knows his shit inside and out. I think one of the toughest things I've had to consider about this map pack is which maps qualify as my favorites, and when you consider that this is 32 maps long, that's a pretty impressive problem to have. So really my only criteria here comes down to which maps were most impressive and most memorable to me during the course of my playthrough. And for that reason, I'm picking maps 14, 15, and 16, which, in my opinion, form a really great trilogy of maps that brilliantly convey the idea of urban demonic warfare. If anything, they remind me quite a lot of Duke Nukem 3D, which was another firm favorite of mine during my younger days, and certainly not a bad influence to have. These maps are certainly more open than your average Doom map, and there's a nice interplay going on here between outdoors and indoors environments. The streets, for example, will allow you to be a lot more maneuverable, give you a lot more room to evade enemy fire, and they'll allow you to be a bit more sloppy when it comes to taking down enemies. But when you get indoors, you've got to be a lot more clinical, a lot more precise with clearing rooms if you want to avoid taking damage. I think the biggest thing that I enjoy about this trilogy of maps smack bang in the middle of the Hell on Earth Starter Pack is the sense of escalation that you get from playing through them, ultimately culminating in this map right here called Dead Streets. And this map encompasses several city blocks and is just super impressive to me. It's even more impressive when you consider the possible source inspiration behind this particular map, which I'm pretty sure is a Doom 2 map called Downtown. And it attempts the same essential thing that's going on here, multiple explorable buildings in an open city environment, but good grief, does that map fail on almost every front. I mean, Downtown was a map that had a giant arrow on the ground to show you which direction to go, and even then, it was absolutely horrific to navigate. That's why I just appreciate a map like this so much more. A map that acknowledges the weaknesses of that particular style of map and just improves it immeasurably. But yeah, there's no giant arrows on the ground here, just you and your own thirst for exploration, and everything here comes together to create a world that feels a lot more lived in, a lot more believable than what was previously achievable back when Doom 2, for example, was originally released. But as I mentioned earlier, this map pack does owe a lot to Duke Nukem 3D, because interactivity is another big aspect of a lot of the levels here. You've got breakable glass, you've got flickable light switches, you got destroyable toilets if you were that way inclined. In fact, you can even destroy decorative corpses, which is actually actively encouraged, especially if you're playing on higher difficulty settings, because those bodies pretty much act like piñatas full of armor shards and health vials. So once you get over the grimness of what you're doing, they actually start to become useful resources, occasionally dotted throughout levels. One of the more interesting things I've found out about the Hell on Earth starter pack is how it deals with the player character essentially being an overpowered badass with all of the Brutal Doom weaponry now at their disposal. Because if any of you have played the Brutal Doom gameplay mod alongside, say, the vanilla Doom maps, you'll find that despite some of the enemies being revamped ever so slightly to be faster and a little bit more aggressive, you can still pretty much steamroll all over them. So with that in mind, what exactly does the Hell on Earth starter pack do to ensure that the balance remains challenging? Well, first of all, it certainly shoves a hell of a lot more monsters in much bigger numbers in your general direction. And that includes Revenants, Hell Knights, Barons, Cacos, Arachnotrons, and even a few surprise appearances by Cyberdemons and Spider Masterminds, which really do keep you on your toes during the course of the campaign. And all of this serves to up the intensity of the standard gameplay, and you'd think with appearances by boss characters like this, they wouldn't really have anything left over for what you would normally consider as big end-of-episode boss fights, but that is where you would be wrong. A great example of this would be the end of Episode 1 in the starter pack here, which takes its cues from the original Doom episode Knee Deep in the Dead. And normally you'd be up against two Hell Barons, but because they're in regular rotation here as standard enemies, it'd be a little bit underwhelming for them to be the final boss of the opening episode. And that's where this map pack does something pretty cool and interesting, and offers up enhanced, beefier versions of the Hell Barons for you to face off against. Now, if you take that thread and run with it, you'll have some idea of what the Hell on Earth starter pack does in order to replace the Cyberdemon boss battle and the Spider Mastermind boss battle. And let me tell you, the end result is ridiculously challenging and ridiculously fun. As I've said in the past, I find that boss battles in first-person shooters are a little bit of a lost art these days. And I think that's why it warms the cockles of my heart to see something like the Hell on Earth starter pack here trying to continue that fine tradition, because good grief, this is one big red angry son of a bitch. A fine replacement for the standard Cyberdemon boss battle, if there ever was one. This big fella right here has dual rocket launchers, can breathe fire, and he can walk faster than you can run, so you're going to have to do a lot of ducking through this central passage here if you don't want him to squish you to death. I just think this is a really great example of how to beef up and remix an existing iconic boss battle, because there's enough new elements here to make this feel fresh and challenging, while at the same time being familiar enough to link you back to what made that original iconic battle so much fun to play through. And in a way, I feel like this is a microcosm for why I enjoy the Hell on Earth starter pack so much, because that's what it's doing from start to finish. It's beefing up and remixing those original familiar elements of Doom and Doom 2 and creating something bigger, more badass, and it's just ludicrously entertaining. Seriously, this map pack has held my attention longer than most AAA games hold my attention, and that is not a insignificant achievement to have. So if you fancy a ridiculous, over-the-top, brutal Doom challenge and you haven't played this yet, do it. There is no reason for you not to. It's an absolute blast from start to finish, and it's just chock full of memorable and awesome moments. And naturally, the stuff that I've shown you here in this video is just a fraction of what you get to experience. So the link, as usual, is in the description below. By the way, if you want to try this out and you don't have access to an original copy of Doom or Doom 2, don't worry, this runs completely as a standalone, so give it a whirl and go nuts. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Feel free to let me know what you thought of it in the comments below, and feel free to let me know what you thought of the Hell on Earth starter pack. What are your favorite maps? What are your favorite moments? I'm always eager to hear about other players' experiences. I am going to kill this big angry Cyberdemon, by the way. I'm not going to leave you with boss battle blue balls. That would just be really mean of me. Hey, there we go. Done and dusted. I think there's only one appropriate response to that, and it's... fuck yourself! Thank you very much for watching. This has been Mr. Icarus. Icarus out.